one of the things I enjoyed doing back when I used to blog on a regular basis was a particular post that I did seasonally, which was cutest character of that season. And it's something I actually, when I was thinking of ideas for this channel, it was one of the things I decided I wanted to bring back was doing a seasonal best girl video. So before I got around to doing that, I wanted to check out bottom tier character Tomozaki and get caught up with the series so that I can see if certain characters that caught my interest early on would actually pan out to be great characters that I'd want to put on that list. And thankfully, that turned out to be the case. But I'm on to episode 8 at this point on bottom tier character Tomozaki, and it has been turning out to be a quite a sweet show so far. Now, it's not technically blowing me away in any way, but it's a show that's just going to be a great show by the end of it. Not, you know, creating new standards in animation and storytelling or anything like that. Just a solid show all overall. And so far with the episodes that I have actually got caught up, because I only got to like episode 3 initially when I did my first impressions, I believe. We got right into Yuzu Izumi. When we left her off, she was asking Tomozaki to teach her how to play. I'm just gonna call it Smash Bros. From here on. Teach her how to play Smash Bros. And he agrees to do that. And it's also that she can get close to Suji, who obviously keeps challenging Tomozaki to play a game over and over again and never wins. And from there, we got kind of an insight to her and her desire to, be around Shuji, who she actually likes. Talked a little bit about how somebody else decided to, what was supposed to be, I think she's supposed to be the most popular girl in the school, decided to confess her love to Shuji, and he kind of blew her away, or blew her off. From this point, something was mentioned. And it was funny because I remember when we were doing our first impressions, Chris mentioned that he believes the secret's going to be that all these girls play video games. And I didn't really think that was going to be the case just because they don't really show it at all. But the theme that Izumi actually brought up that I latched onto and I knew was probably going to be the theme overall was the desire to change. She got out of Tomozaki that he wanted to change, and so it kind of had her bring up a slight thought of, well, I wish I could change or something like that to that effect. And then shortly later, I believe it was Fuka brought up that Minami wants to change. Believes that Minami wants to change. And so I think a big key thing that's going to be throughout the entire series is probably going to be change. Obviously, Tomozaki is changing. He's actually acting out the desire to change, just like Aoi wanted him to. And that change is to get out of from being, stuck up in a room and playing video games all the time and not liking the game of life to actually challenging the game of life. And like I said, I think that's going to be our overall theme throughout the entire series is the desire to change. It brings up a great question because when you do present that for, obviously, Izumi, plainly for Mimimi, I'm going to call her Mimimi from now on, and some other characters, it makes me question exactly what is Aoi Hinami, who is pretty much the main heroine of the show, what's her change going to be? What is it that she's going to desire to do? And I think you can make an argument that her change is already made through him running into a recording that she made on a recorder. She still practices this kind of stuff a lot, so obviously she made a change possibly at some point, and she's still training herself, which I thought was really endearing to kind of see that she has the same struggles he does, and that she practices to get the way that she is. I'm still at this point, it makes no sense how this girl has all this time in the world. Apparently, she's a pro gamer for the Smash Bros. Game. She gets up early to do her track stuff. She stays late after school to do her track stuff. She hangs out with people and socializes. It's like, well, where is her time? How does she get all this time? It is one of those struggling things that kind of breaks the immersion in the idea this is a geek gamer girl that still is perfect at everything else. She literally is the most perfect character that shouldn't exist because time. But put that aside for now. But no, I thought Izumi's story was cute. I liked how Tomozaki kind of stood up and defended Nakamura as everybody was kind of critiquing his desire to get better at the game and beat Tomozaki. It was kind of one of those nice things of shattering that expectation of the pretty boy of the school actually wanting to do something. And it is one of those kind of bothersome things where you have this kind of gang of garus or whatever they are, popular girls coming in and going, this is creepy that you guys play this game and enjoy it so much. And me as a gamer and just somebody in general that believes that people should be allowed to like what they like and do what you want to do and have fun. And through my experiences of playing video games my entire life, enjoying anime my entire life, these hobbies that most people, especially how gaming used to be taboo to play, you were a loser for playing a nerd, and now it's kind of socially accepted for most part. Anyways, anime is nowhere near getting to that point of being socially accepted, but enjoying these things because you enjoy them and not caring what other people think, and the idea that somebody would come in and say, well, that's creepy that you like that, or you're a nerd for liking that, it's like, well, you know what, get over it. Go on with your own life and leave this person alone and let them enjoy what they enjoy. And I like how everybody kind of stood up and defended the situation and kind of diffused it. In a sense, it kind of, I'm glad it wasn't just Tomozaki that diffused the situation, because he technically was doing it in like the most not helpful way. His outburst was not helpful. It wasn't making the situation seem like, hey, look, this is normal, why don't you just back off, kind of thing. It was really kind of an emotional outrage. And so I did like that Izumi kind of stepped up there and defended them and made that nice little connection with her and Nakamura. I am curious if they'll end up kind of playing off the harem aspects and having her go back to Tomozaki, or if they'll just be friends going forward. I kind of would like that more. But it is what it is. But no, the cream of the crop was definitely getting into Nanami's story. Like I said early on, Nanami from first glance was kind of the archetype that I usually like. I was a little bit surprised that I was so connected to Fuka, and I still like Fuka. She's still absolutely adorable, and I still do like her. Thank goodness, thank you, writer. Actually has Tomozaki come out and just tell Fuka, hey, Fuka Kikuchi, I didn't read the book. Just wanted to let you know, hey, I didn't read a book. I didn't read the book, so if you don't want me to read your book, that's fine. I'm like, no way. I thought we were going to go through this whole ordeal with him lying that he read the book just to get a connection with her. But no, they actually had the male protagonist character be honest. Communication, people, it's great. Animation, or anime, you should learn from this. Learn from bottom tier character Tomozaki. Be honest. Communicate. It solves issues later on. But no, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah. Nanami's story is great because she comes off as like airhead, but I remember specifically at one point when she's talking to Tomozaki about the flyers they did, she specifically says, when he says, are you being serious? And she said, I'm half being serious, half playing along. And this kind of leads me to believe really early on that she portrays as being really goofy because she wants to. Like, she allows herself to kind of have that airheadedness for the sake of, I guess, being liked or just being more energetic and more, outgoing to people. And I think that was fantastic because I, like I said, kind of early on dispelling this idea that she seems like she's airheaded, but she's not really airheaded. Now, granted, what that technically did is it made me kind of have this thought in my back of head that this girl is going to end up having something that she's hiding. And that was kind of the aspect of, you can see it as being a little disappointing that it did end up being some like insanely tragic past that she's trying to be positive over. And that was my initial thought, like, oh man, this is going to be the tragic girl. She's going to have like this really bad story that she's trying to be positive to overcome. Like her parents are dead or something like that. And it did end up being that. And that's why I said I guess it could be technically disappointing. But at the same time, those are expectations I was giving myself. What's great about her story was that it was simple and it made perfect sense the way that she's told it. I remember specifically at one point, she and Tomozaki are sitting there and he's asking basically, oh, why do you do what you do? And she says, let me pose she said quiz time. And she goes, what's the tallest mountain? Oh, Mount Fuji. Well, what's the second tallest mountain? Doesn't know it. Oh, what's the first president? What's the second president? Who was first at this competition? Who was the second at this competition? And the whole thing that she was driving to, and it was to Tomozaki, was most people know who is first best, the winner. They know who's holding the gold medal, but they never care about who else is on the stage. They don't care about the second best. They don't care about the third best. And the way that she laid that out and how Tomozaki completely failed the quiz was exactly the point. And I thought that it was a very simple but effective storytelling. And that's what I loved about it. And it was great kind of seeing her constantly trying to push herself and push herself and push herself while you see the collateral damage to those around her, especially through Hanabi watching Manami every day out the window. And Tomozaki spots her and they talk about it over after school every day. The rainy day, Aoi's still out there. Nanami is not there. And then her finally eventually giving up on the whole situation and that conversation between her and Hanabi. Well, especially before then with Hanabi kind of revealing things to Fumiya about their history together. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth between the first time and the last time. I think that the fact that this is the only problem I really have in talking about anime is the familiarity between characters. Often they say Hanabi and their first name, and sometimes they say their family name, depending on their familiarity. But this girl kind of lays out to Tomozaki, that her entire history with Mimimi, and the idea that she chose not to have friends. At some point, Nanami went to Aoi Hinami and asked her, how can I get this girl to, come in with the groups? She's obviously not being part of the class. She needs to get in with groups. And she said, maybe she doesn't want to. But she didn't give up on that point. Nanami still kept trying to get into Hanabi's personal space, poking her on the cheek over and over again until eventually she accepted her. And I realized at that point when they had this moment where Nanami finally breaks down and says, I got to the point where I'm angry at Aoi. I want her to give up. I want her to stop so that I don't have to keep pushing to try to beat her. And she thought all these nasty thoughts about her, and she finally gave up because she didn't want to have those nasty thoughts. She loves Aoi. And this emotional breakdown, which is tearing me up, Hanabi finally speaks up and says the thing that just broke me, which was essentially, you're my number one. Like, in my eyes, you're number one. Like, this is the girl. Nanami, you brought this girl under your wing. You are her hero. You are her number one. So no matter how many times Aoi beats you, you're still number one to her eyes. Everybody out there has that number one, or that person that believes they're the number one. That person out there that believes that aside from everything else, you are important to them. Put medals aside, put competitions aside, all this stuff, put it aside. You're her number one. And I thought that was just fantastic the way they put it. And I just love their chemistry all together. I loved when they're doing the student council thing and run for it, and Nanami comes in there and puts her head underneath her shirt and licked her, and then later on goes, touch your back, I have magic hands. I just love those two. They're fantastic. They were absolutely adorable together. But yeah, I think that's all kind of tied in with her, that sold Nanami as one of my favorite characters of the season, possibly somebody that can end up on my list. I still love Aoi. She's absolutely the gamer geek girl that everybody dreams about, that wants a gamer girl, kind of geek girl to hang out with. She's quirky, she's goofy. Whenever she's not around the others and she's around Tomozaki, you see this kind of geeky side of her that's just totally lovable. But they just haven't really spent too much time on it. She's, like I said, she's too perfect too. And that's the difficulty there as well. And I still love Fuka. I think she's absolutely adorable, especially when she hides herself behind her book. I remember he said something like Kawaii when she did that, and it just broke her more. I'm like, oh man, you're killing her, man. And like I said, Izumi was fantastic as well. There's a great cast of girls. They're all lovable in their own little way. I'm still wondering when we're gonna get kind of diving into Aoi more, which I'm assuming will probably be the later episodes of this season because we're coming up on the end of it. We only have 4 more episodes. We're 2/3 of the way through. So yeah, overall great stuff. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more, and I hope you guys liked my impressions of technically 4 through 8. And as always, if you guys like this, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and y'all take care.